Well, don't I feel silly? Well, welcome back to Sawmill, everybody. My name's Bill. This is Power Solutions Forestry. I'm sitting next to a stack of lumber, spruce lumber that we're creating for Paul Miskovsky out of his beautiful spruce trees. If you didn't watch the other videos, there are some up already and other ones that I have to put up a little bit later. But I'm kind of ashamed of myself. I made a big deal out of something and I told you guys an untruth. And I'm not sure where it got started. I think what happened was I got in a bunch of really short logs, some cedar, and some other logs for customers that I had to mill that were really short. Somehow my brain short-circuited, and I actually went a little bit on a rant yesterday about always getting your stuff 8'6", and because under 8 feet I lose the ability to use my hydraulics and it doesn't fit on the 8-foot bunks and blah 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 blah. And I was going on and on and on, and I've went on and on and on about it in other videos too. However, what I told you wasn't exactly true. And I have the proof up on the mill. So I have to do a mea culpa. For any hillbilly folks, that's my bad. And I think my bad can cross over into maybe more urban areas as well. But it basically means that I'm going to take responsibility for a mistake that I made or mistake that I said. That's what I'm going to do. So I have here a spruce log that's not 8 feet long. And I can turn it with my hydraulic turner. I can clamp it with my hydraulic clamp. I can level it with my roller toe board, as long as I put the little end down here. And it's not 8 feet long. So what I told you is not necessarily true. I do have to use my manual log stop over here with it. However, this one is only 6'9", and I can use my hydraulics. Now I have to set it only on 2 bunks, and I do have to have a little bit of stick out over there. However, on short logs like this, I don't see the problem. Now, I would lose my ability to do this at around 6 foot exactly. Just barely makes it. So if it's 6 foot or over, I still have access to the hydraulics. And if I did a little thought into, put a little thought into it, about maybe moving this clamp that way 1 hole, that'd get me like another 8 or 9 inches to where I still would have access to turning, clamping, leveling, and that the only downside is I can only put it on 2 bunks. I don't see it's a problem. I think I'm a whiny little bitch. So showing you from the backside, I've got 2 clamps here. I just have to put this one up and down by hand. Whoa, God forbid. I mean, Christ, once upon a time, I used to have to turn them all by hand. And 6 foot fits. Barely, but it fits. It's exactly 6 feet outside to outside. So 6 foot barely fits. It'd have to be positioned perfectly, but 6 foot 3 or 4 is fine. So now I couldn't load with my log loader here. Well, maybe. No, it would fall through the hole. would fall through the hole. So I can't load with my log loader here, but I can certainly, a little dinky log like this, I can toss it up with the Bobcat. So I guess I was kind of wrong. Now, if you get less than 6 feet, obviously, but an 8-foot log, I can put it right here. Just do it on 2 bunks instead of on 3. So it rained all morning, and now it's beautiful blue skies out. It's muddy as hell, but we're gonna try to do some milling here. The wife's hanging around in the house doing stuff, so I want to get out of the house and do a little bit of milling. This log's 16 by 16 on this end. That end is bigger, so we always have to lay out based on the small end. 16 is 70, and 42 is 112, so 11.2. So at 16, this should cant out around 11 inches. What I have to figure out is what I'm going to cut out of this. I think at 6 feet long, they could be used for some smaller flower boxes. I don't see any sense in really cutting 6 foot, like 6 foot 4x4s. So that would be kind of dumb. I think, again, I'm going to mill construction lumber out of it. 6 foot 2x4s, we do need to do a roof on a little dinky shed for him. That 2x4s would work for the rafters that we need. It's kind of like a little hybrid chicken coop. I cut a big, huge, long 20-foot shed years ago. I cut it down. So I cut all the way around the outside, through the roof and down the sides and through the floor, next to a joist and next to a rafter, to shorten it for a project that he was doing. And he's got the cutoff left over. And it's like a little 4-foot shed by 6 foot or 8 foot long. And he wants to use it as some sort of chicken laying coop. So, or duck laying coop. He's got these big expensive ducks. So he wants to use it for that. And he wants me to put rafters and a roof on it. So we could cut 2x4s out of this. Or we can just cut it as big as we can and then mill it into 2x11s or 2x10s. And then when we go to make the rafters, we just rip them down in the field. And like rip them into 2x5s or something like that. So I'm going to start taking this thing apart. We'll get it into a big cant. And we'll see how running the hydraulics on, how it messes. It's not going to mess with anything. It's perfectly fine the way it is. So we're going to cut it apart and we're going to see what happens. I am running a little test on running my water on the other side of that roller guide. I just want to see how it behaves and what happens. I'm running that same Silvertip Turbo 7 that we ran yesterday. We have to see how that cuts. But let's start taking this thing apart and let's see what happens. Full disclosure, it is a little far from me. So it's kind of a little bit of travel here, but I don't see as that being a problem. Because my hydraulic stops come up together at the same height, I kind of like having this here. It's kind of telling me where I can't cut down to. So I would see that before I ended up smashing into one of my stops. I guess predicated on the fact that I kept this one at kind of at the same height as that one. So that's at 15. We'll take our top cut right there. I want to see how this water behaves like this. So our opening face is around 9. I think it makes sense to take a flitch, or I'm just going to have to take it off later to get to 11. So we'll drop down and take a 7/8 flitch because that's what everything else was. That was at 15. We'll drop to 14. And we're going to take a flitch. Seems to be keeping the band pretty clean. I'm wondering if it's going to keep that roller clean for me. I would say that this band's cutting decent, cut nice and flat. There are no waves in it, so I'm going to keep running it for now. The wood's a little raggy, but it's cutting flat. So let's see if we can get it turned. All right, let's pull it down the throat. We'll take the top off it. We'll leave my toe board up for now because it's kind of leveling this out, and then we'll drop it on the next one. Almost nailed it. I'm going to take it right here at 16. I should have dropped down to 15. It would have been exactly the same cut as the other side. We'll come to 15 and then see what we look like. Probably going to have to come to 14 again just to get this face wide enough, or I'm just going to have to take it off later. Yeah, I'm only 9 inches wide there, so we'll take one more at 14. We already know our stops are clear because we've already done this. We'll get her turned again. The cant doesn't look super square. Now there's a possibility that this is not, it's not square to that one either. This is not super square. Yeah, it's out a little bit. It's not square. So I'm going to need to do a truing cut. What I'm going to want to do is after I cut this side, I'll have 2 parallel faces. And then when we roll it for the third side, I'm going to have to put some sort of, I'm going to have to check if a square, I might have to shim this square, cut the other side off, and then trim this side. I got to make a note that it's not square. Let's go ahead and cut this front side off, top side off first, and then we'll deal with it. Not exactly sure why. So let's see here. That stop is up 9, so I don't want to go below 10. Let's check out what 13 looks like. I think 12 would be better. Yeah, let's take it there. Nice space on that one. We are going to have to start getting into adjusting our stops a bill. So what we're going to want to do is get this thing rolled, and then we're going to have to check the side of the cant to see what we have to do to it to get it level. And we may be able to do that with the log turner. we may be able to tilt the log turner to get it squared up, kind of as a shim, so to speak, to cut this space square to the top face and the bottom face, and then we'd have to flip it all the way over to get that other one. Okay, so now we're gonna have to check and see how far out we are and see what we gotta do to get it square. So it needs to tilt this way, which is backwards. Let's see how much it is. So it's gonna come up. It's not very much, but let's see if I can get a shim under that far side, something off the ground here. Man, that's really close. Just a shade more. Shade. It's almost there. As if I push that in a little bit. That's pretty damn perfect right there. If I could cut it right there, I think would be good. So I want to clamp it nice and low so I don't tilt it. And I should be able to cut the top off it and be square again. Then we got to flip it over and true the other side. All right, let's try it. Come down to 12 again. We're going to want to go all the way over with it. Then we'll true up the top. So I'm going to take this to 11 to do my truing side. That's a piece of clapboard. And we'll drop down to 10, and then we'll drop 2 inches at a time. Take a 1-inch board off right now. If I take this one board off, I can mill the whole thing now and throw this right on the lumber pile. It'll come down to 8. We're milling 2x12s right now. All right, go up above 10, rip it back, go down to 6. Go up above 10, come back, drop it down to 4. Go up above 10, and we'll see if we can go up to 2 and make the last cut without taking anything off. And that came out great. There's a little bit of wane on the bottom one, but just a teeny bit. Not a problem for a 2x12 for a flower box. We'll get this lumber off with the Bobcat after we dump the slab wood. Throw it in with his total pile. I gotta make a note of how long that took. It's kind of another half-hour log, so it'll be another 50 bucks. So 2x12s. So let's just say there's 14 times 5 is 50 and 20. So there's like 70 board feet there for, it's just a little less than 70 because it's not quite 7 feet. There's 14 in each. Yeah, I'm right, because they're 2 inches thick. Yep. So again, it works out close to the hourly rate regardless. At 100 bucks an hour, you're basically milling at $1 a board foot. So leave it up to you how you want to do it. But when I mill customer logs, which these are customer logs, not mine, I mill them by the hour. So that's another $50 log. I'll get that one put away. And at some point today, I'm probably going to do some edging. But for now, for my lion butt, my whiny piece of crap butt, Pirate Solutions out.